Hey folks, you're welcome to another episode of Founders Connect. Here we have conversations with amazing entrepreneurs and operators in the Africa ecosystem. Today I'm speaking with celebrity blogger and freelance journalist Ameyaw Debrah. Hi.
Hi, Peace.
How you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have a conversation with you.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Okay.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am PC Timmy, a change maker, professional, and creative who is passionate about growing people and growing businesses. Like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and please always share my videos. It promises to always be impactful and insightful.
Okay. Hi. So I like to start my interviews with learning about the person first before we get into their business or whatever they're doing. So give us your background story. Who are you outside celebrity blogger? How did you become this person? All of it.
So I'm a simple person. My name is Ameyaw Debrah. I grew up in Accra. I was born in Accra.
So you lived in Accra all your life?
Most of my life, apart from the time when my parents were in the UK and had to go to the Eastern region to live with my grandparents.
Right.
So apart from that, I have been in Accra most of my time. I schooled mostly in Engelbert International School, and then moved to Adisado College, and then from there, at Adisado, I had this idea of becoming a doctor. So I was studying general science, and I sort of found my love for writing over there when I joined the Writers and Debaters Club. And so when I finished secondary school, the opportunity came for me to go to the university a year ahead of my regular schedule.
Right.
So I picked up the prospectus or whatever it was from Cairn University and went through it. And one program sort of interested me, yeah, and it was publishing studies. At that point, I thought it was a media-related course, but it was more of a book industry course. So I signed it up. I'm like, I have 1 year, why don't I just give it a try? I did apply and I was accepted. So when I went in, I was like, oh, here I am, whatever be the case, let me give up my very best. And so I took it very seriously. And at the end of the course, I won the award for Best Publishing Student. And that award was sponsored by Ovation Magazine. And as part of the package, I had the opportunity to do my national service with Ovation Magazine. National service is what you call youth corps in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And so I did my national service with Ovation, and at some point I always loved the internet, and that was when really it was booming in Ghana right at the early stages. So I joined a lot of platforms, connected with different people. High Five was the first one.
Oh my God, that's such a long time
I joined,
ago.
and then I started building this audience, and also started looking for opportunities to write for people on platforms online. And so I started contributing to a lot of Pan-African publications, mainly based in the US. And a time came, I joined one project in Netherlands, Voices of Africa. What they did was to give Nokia phones to young journalists across Africa, and we would use these phones to sort of record content, edit, and create a full story all on the phone.
Right.
And then we upload to the server, and they turn it out and publish it. So I joined that program as a sort of the rep for Ghana. And one thing led to another. They actually invited me to come and speak about the project there was a forum for emerging digital, everything that was digital back then. It was called Highway Africa. So I was invited to Rhodes University in South Africa to go and speak about our project. So it was at this forum that the concept of blogging actually came to me, because people had been invited from all over the world to talk about what they were doing in the space. And a lot of them were talking about blogging. And I was doing a bit of that on my Blogspot, but on a very subtle kind of level. And listening to the examples, the impact people were making, I'm like, I could be doing this fully. And so when I got back, I started taking that Blogspot seriously. And one thing led to the other. Here we are now.
Amazing. So in the time that you've been blogging, what would you say have been the highlights for you in your career?
Well, the highlights have been many. I look at it on different levels. Sometimes it's speaking to somebody and what that person says and how they say it, and leaving that impact personally on you. Sometimes too, it's about what you're able to create with that content. And in terms of that, I think one of my favorite highlights I keep saying would be my interview with Amber Rose. So Amber Rose was in Ghana, and like they usually do, they take pictures with poor kids, and when she posted a picture with poor people, people started attacking her. It was a huge backlash, and they were like, why do you always portray Africa to be poor when you get the opportunity to visit? So when I had the opportunity to interview her, I made her explain her actions, and they were very quite sincere. And that interview was carried by every urban blog and website in the world. And
in the world?
From BT to Nicole Bichi to Perez Hilton, they all picked this up. And I felt like I had done something and had been taken that far. So it's one of my highlights. And I always look back to that and feel fulfilled.
Interesting. What would you say you do differently from other bloggers? I mean, when you Google your name, what they call you, right, is celebrity blogger. You have like 600K followers on Instagram. Yeah, a celebrity in your own right, not just like a blogger that has another blog. So what makes you different, or what have you put into like the act of writing and blogging that has made you really stand out?
Well, I think what makes it stand out is the fact that I was like the first person to do it here in Ghana. And also when I came in there. I mean, growing up, I was watching content from the UK. My parents would bring us at a very early stage, and I had an appreciation for entertainment content and how they were doing it there. So for me, anytime I had the opportunity to do it my way, it would be an infusion of all of those elements.
Right.
And when I started calling myself celebrity blogger, it was for a purpose, because I wanted to create that celebrity culture in Ghana, because before there was nothing like that. They would cover some events, interview some people, but there was really not that connect between the celebrities and their fan base. And I started covering them, from doing interviews, the appearances at places, just to create that excitement. Of course, we are now at the stage where even social media allows to support that a lot more. But when I started, the way I was doing it was different, and the mindset with which I was doing it was different. I think that's what pretty much set me apart. And I will continue to evolve, and to a point when now we have a lot more people doing it. I still try to differentiate my content from what exists elsewhere by the focus, also by adding a lot more elements of lifestyle to what I was just doing before, which was just entertainment and celebrity news.
What would you say is the hardest part of your job? I mean, because people can just say, it's not just to blog, go and create a WordPress, go and create a blogger, and then we start like just, curating stories. But like, I mean, for you, it's obviously different. You've built like a company out of it, I assume. So like, what's the hardest part?
The hardest part, I think, I mean, for a very long time, I've done it almost 15 years.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. And for a big chunk of that time, I was doing everything by myself, taking videos, pictures, and putting content out there myself. So it was having the strength and the ability to do it the way you want to do it at your first attempt, because sometimes you make mistake in the rush, and I'd rather everything is perfect at the first attempt rather posting and then seeing and do it. So it's a challenge. Also now, one of the big challenges is the audience, because when I started, the audience it wasn't as big as now, and you could really know that they wanted this, and you were giving them that. But now the following has grown. Twitter, I have over 1.2 million, and all of them are coming in with different, although I stand for something, they also demand different things that I'm not even doing. And so sometimes the understanding of the audience for what I do and my understanding of what they want can also be challenging, because as a blogger, you always think of what you think people will like. You put yourself in there, and you never really know how to connect. So sometimes I rush to do something that I think is amazing, and I publish, and nobody is reading. I'm like disappointed, and all of that. So these are some of the inherent challenges, really.
Interesting. I want to talk a bit about innovation. So when I started this show, right, I started to talk mostly to like startup founders. And for startup founders that build like product, right, it's always like, oh, innovation for our users, and something happens and it dips. For the blogging industry, where it's mostly like you're covering what's happening on news, right? How do you still find a way to innovate in a way that you're always giving your audience what they want, but you're doing it in a different way? Like, cause you've done it for 15 years. You obviously have not done exactly the same thing. I mean, entertainment has grown, your audience has grown, but like, how has your approach to blogging also like been?
So I realized that a lot of the blogging that people consider now is happening on social media, i.e. Instagram, etc. And our approach to that was to create Ameyaw TV, which is for video content. So a lot of the things that we would do on the blog, we find formats that to fit in terms of video. So we could put it on, say, YouTube and Instagram, just to make that connection and tap in, because a lot of my focus is still on my website. Although I understand how Instagram particular is creating a lot of attention for people who are doing some sort of blogging. I still don't do much of that. I find.
Is there a reason why?
Because I still want people to go to the website.
Is that where the money is?
Well, sort of. And I changed my Instagram. So my Instagram is more personal experiences. Also speaking to things that I see around me, things that I think may interest people. So I have changed my voice and tone, and I did it consciously over 3 years ago, and I saw it affected the growth, because everybody that was in my space, their followers, and it was skyrocketing. But I'm giving a different voice, and also to use it more for influencing gigs as well. And so it's understanding the various spaces and knowing what works best for you. So I'm on Twitter. The way I use Twitter is different. The way I use Instagram is different. The way I use Facebook.
Different from YouTube, the website.
As well. So that is the way I sort of innovate, seeing what works and making it my own. So that's how I've stayed afloat. As well.
Earlier you said that when you started it was just you're doing everything, but now you have like a team. Like, how big is your team?
So we are about 8 now. So there are people who come on just specific days in the week, and then we have about 6 core staff. They do content on the website. They do hosting for Ameyaw TV. And editing and the production aspect as well.
Now that you guys are 8 more, right, 6 like core team members, have you managed to like retain your voice? Because you mentioned like on Instagram, right, you changed your tone 3 years ago. So like that tone is very important, right? So how is like, oh, it's not just me anymore, it's like 6 other people who are writing, who are creating. How do you guys still manage to have like, oh, this is still our brand?
It's difficult, because a lot of times people, the moment something comes from my website, they assume it's me. But if you go, you see the person who produced the content there. But because it's my name, they give it. But when it comes to the TV content, I've been able to sort of take my voice out of it, because when I was starting, I threw open auditions for people who were interested. So I involved people right from the early stages, and that is quite separate. So our handle for Ameyaw TV is separate from my personal handle, and so we put a lot of those other voices on the Ameyaw TV platform, and then I still maintain my voice on the platform that I just made.
Right, that makes sense. So I know that you've done the blog content for 15 years, but there was a time where you worked at Ringier and then you worked at Yin. Were you managing it at both times, or why did you take a full-time job at that point?
So it was interesting. So Ringier first contacted me because Pulse had been successful in Nigeria, and they wanted to repeat that model across Africa, and Ghana was the next. So they hired me to be a project manager and managing editor for it. So I set it up, I hired people, and when we started doing it, we built it up, and then but I made them understand that they will be competing with me.
I'm project managing for you.
My blog is still there, but I'm building you while it's there.
Right.
And down the line, it became a conflict of interest again for them, even though right from the beginning we had set out the ground rules. So they started changing contracts, do this, don't do that, just do this. And just around that time, the group that also owns Naj back then also contacted me that they also want to come to Ghana. And am I interested? I'm like, yes, I'm interested. So it was so layered that just when I left Ringier, I moved into the other job and I did something similar. They pretty much, it wasn't they didn't see the conflict that much. And I came up with yen.com for them. I worked with them for almost 2 years, and then I left to now focus fully on Ameyaw TV as a new venture that I'll be working on.
Right, so I mean, when you say venture, it means that at that time it was probably already bringing money.
Well, so Ameyaw TV is my growing pain. I love it. I love the project, but it's not able to make so much money for me. It's making money for me, but I also wanted it to make money for me from YouTube because I saw how that space was growing and how people were making money from there. So greeting me, I was like, let me get in and make the money too. But it wasn't working. But we found ways to make money with the project, and it's been steady for people to see the kind of content we were creating and what we wanted to do. It took time for people to understand, and when they did, that's when Corona comes, and so a lot was not happening again. There was that dip, but things are picking up again, and we are kind of growing on YouTube still. But yes, I love that project. It's costing me so much. I mean, you know,
why do you love it so much?
I think
like what about it makes it like so?
I think it's having these young people come to work all the time, expecting to create content, and the joy with which they do it. And I'm like, I've been able to give employment to these people. They love what they do. It must succeed so that we can do even more, because people are always in my DMs, they want jobs, and I'm like, we are kind of saturated now. We must grow as a project in order to also bring in more people. So it's that passion. You wake up and sometimes you can't sleep. New ideas come. You have to put it down somewhere so that you don't forget it. So I think most entrepreneurs go through that, and I'm still very positive, and I get the right energy from my team. So let's see how it goes. Amazing.
So I mean, you're a celebrity blogger and you have like millions of followers on social media, right? And you mentioned Instagram is also for influencing. So like when someone is out there as a public figure, people feel like they know this person, right? But what is 1 or 2 or 3 things about you that you're very sure that people don't know, that you usually do not like put on your Instagram or your blog or stuff, that will probably like shock people?
Shock people. Well, I'm the kind that every now and then I shock people by putting, I pretty much, those who know me and follow me, they get a sense of my personality. But perhaps they don't know I'm very shy. I'm a very shy person. And if I go to places, I'm comfortable when I see somebody I know. And if I know somebody, I'll be speaking to the person throughout. So I'm a very shy person. What else? I think being shy is because, and that's why I also love social media, because it allows me to break that. Because I'm speaking to people and I don't see
you can just
them,
hide behind.
So I can hide behind that. So yes, in a nutshell, I'll say that.
Yeah. What would you say has been like the biggest lessons you've learned blogging for 15 years?
Well, I think the biggest lesson is that it's an avenue to be considered as a career or a full-time job. And once you're doing it, from the very early stage, it's important for you to think along those lines. It's a business, make it a business. And unless, of course, it's a very personal blog and you just want to connect with people and another. But if you want to do it full-time business, think through it and put down every structure and right from the beginning, so it grows to become what you want it to be. I've enjoyed it. I've had opportunity to meet lots of people all over the world. I think recently, when I was coming, for instance, when I was coming from Washington to Accra, the airline saw me, and then once they asked, "Are you the blogger?" I'm like, "Yes," and then they upgraded me to to business
God,
when I so needed it, because I was tired. I had traveled to Atlanta, Washington, and in a very short space I had done so much. I was really tired and I needed that rest. And I felt so appreciated when that happened. And I think we can only continue to do more and grow more.
Amazing. First point you made was about if you're thinking about blogging, like make into a business and put structures. Do you want to like give us examples of how you've been able to put structures and make money from your own blog?
Yeah. So I think you have to create the kind of brand that would resonate with people. And up to now, a lot of the way I make my money is because I have positioned myself so that different brands can work with me, i.e. my personality, the kind of content I create, and things like that. Because sometimes when you follow the audience and you give them what they want, it might not be a good look. But once you've structured yourself and you are taking those pains to grow a credible sort of outlet, it will be slow. The money might not come quickly, but remember, you are building a brand that a lot of brands would like to associate and work with. And up to date, that's how I make my money. It's not about the audience only, it's about the association that brands want to make with you. And by and large, it comes with building a good brand. I would also say putting structures. Sometimes you have to register your business so that, again, when brands come with you to work with you, your invoicing is right, taxes issues and all of that are right, and they know they are working with an entity also. So these are some of the things, but then again, every blog, if you're doing health, the way you would go about it so that you get the right attention is different from if you're doing entertainment, etc. So you must study what you want to do, look at other people who are doing it, how they're doing it and doing it well, so you can incorporate all of that into building your own.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you make a very valuable point where you said it's not just about building an audience, but it's building brands that other brands want to associate with. So like when you're able to build that brand, and like, oh, this brand, like, okay, it's not just like they have like this amount of followers, but I like the kind of the way they present their brand and present their content, so they want to associate with you. I think that's very important, not just for like bloggers, but also for vloggers, for anybody basically, right? That's amazing. In this length of experience that you have right now, have you made like mistakes? Can you share like 2 or 3 like mistakes that you've made? Like, see, I know I'm great and I have like hundreds of followers, but there were times where I did stuff and it just did not go right.
So when you're creating content, sometimes you can make mistakes with the content, i.e. how you present it, especially if you're doing news content. Sometimes you must take that pain to make sure that what you're putting out there is fully correct. I don't make so much mistakes when it comes to facts and all of that, but sometimes even the way you choose to present it, because sometimes somebody has said something and instead of you saying it as it is, you interpret it in your own way, and that could be dangerous.
Do you have like a practical example to give us?
I cannot remember. So this mistake wasn't even from me, because this was coming from my team. Sarkodie had gone to say something. No, one person who featured on Sarkodie's hit song had gone to say that when he worked on that hit song, all he had was fuel money. And instead of my team listening to the tape and understanding what had been said, because other people had said Sarkodie gave him fuel money, that was a story. But if you had gone through it, it wasn't from Sarkodie, but it was from the producer, because it wasn't even Sarkodie's project. It was a producer who had done a project and put all these artists together. So these are some of the things, and I have explained to them that you are even blessed if there's an audio or video and you have to listen to it, and listening to it might even give you a different angle that the main person who wrote it didn't take. And so it's always important to do those checks. And I think a lot of people now don't do that. When I started, it was just me, and I had time. I'm either watching the TV show directly or listening to the radio, and I'm taking notes. So when I'm presenting, I know the person has said exactly what I heard, but it's not like that. And so that was one mistake. Another mistake I did was watching a TV show and reviewing it, and because in one episode they had said that they had obtained a US visa, and I thought that was what I had. And the next episode they had written USA visa or something, but I realized that it was because of the font the person used.
Right.
The USA, the VISA came as the V and I coming together as USA. But so I was like, in the previous episode, you're talking about a visa to Europe. So how come the next one you're saying USA? So I did that piece, and then the producer calls, say, what? That's not what you did. I can even play it back for you. I'm like, don't worry. But the problem the producer had was he felt his competitor had called me to.
Right.
I'm like, I would never do that. Nobody can mad my integrity like that. And so fortunately there was a repeat of that episode. I watched it myself, and then now I went back to say, well, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. I saw this, I assumed it was this, and I cleared it. So we do make such mistakes, but also in terms of the business side, I think the mistake I made was not to start thinking of what I was doing as a business right from the beginning. Because in the beginning, I was also working with Ghana Web, so I was having a salary job, and I was doing mine just anyway. And if I had thought of it as a business, I would have put in the structures at the very early stage, and everything would have fallen into place much earlier.
That makes sense. I mean, you talk like your integrity is like very important to you, but like in the entertainment industry and in blogging industry, you don't see a lot of bloggers who like would put their integrity first. It's like views first. They'll do clickbait and stuff. What are ways that you've tried to make sure that you've stayed true to your integrity, regardless of like the amount of
I think having a brand that is built around my name and my real name, it's important that that integrity comes through. So I do that by forming the right association with the people I'm working with, so that they give me the opportunity to come to them for first-hand information. I can cross-check with them if need be, and when I'm taking from other sources, as much as possible, I go to the key sources that I know are credible also. Sometimes they even slip. These mainstream people also slip. But that is how I try to do my work. And even when it comes to influencing and social media, I don't associate with just any brand. A lot of people are in my DM asking me to post about butt enhancers. I will put the price so high you wouldn't want to even post it, because it's something I don't want to do. I've done it before, and I remember somebody took my word for it and was in my DM. I bought this because of this. And so I was like, I wouldn't want to repeat that. And so it's a bit of all of this. And having a brand around me just makes me very cautious, that especially now that I work with people, with a team, I always tell them, yes, everything you do is coming out under my name. And people would not even have time to
see who was
doing what. It will come at me at the end of the day. So let's be a little bit more careful.
Amazing. I mean, so what's next? You have gone through 15 years. You've done like different things. There's Ameyaw TV now. What more are you looking at?
Cool. I'm trying to create a lot more content, different content formats, especially with the TV. And also we're looking at being a full 360 digital media company. And so we're looking at doing digital campaigns for brands, on a small level, and then we will grow along the lines, because I think we've done it for some time. We've had some knowledge and experience, and we want to bring it to bear. It's not just about posting for the brands, but also handling their strategy and planning when it comes to digital as well, and video productions that are not for us, but doing event coverages for individuals and corporate bodies as well. So we want to be like that 360 media company with more focus on digital.
Amazing. So now in your Wikipedia, you still go as a journalist. Was there a time where people did not take you seriously because you're a blogger and not a journalist for like a mainstream?
Exactly. I mean, I do go through, but it's also because I've worked with established media outlets, and I've created different content, especially when I was with the Voices of Africa project, for instance. Out of my background and interest was in entertainment, I was doing different things from politics to environment and all of that. So those who know that history would appreciate a lot more, but for those who just know the fancy, soft reading kind of content, they something like easy reader journalist and all of that. So I do get that a lot. But if for instance somebody assigns me to do a job for them, and I have one coming up for DWTV currently, I would do it, and it will come out like that.
Amazing. Which 3 people have had the most impact in you and your career?
Well, so the truth is, I don't really look at people. It's like I sit down, I sleep, something comes to mind, and I do it. But growing, and I talked about earlier, wanting to do, I should have considered as a business at an early stage, and Bella Niger helped me with that, because one of my friends, I mean, there were a group of producers that doing video. They went to Nigeria and worked with Bella Niger team, and when they came back, they were like, Charlie, there's a lot we can do. And I started following them, and the way they operated as a business, and the quality they were putting out, that sort of helped me to say, this is possible. Although it's a difficult market here, let's consider this approach. So I put a lot of that sort of into what I was doing. I now introduce a more lifestyle as well, just so that it becomes a fuller picture with what I was doing. So I will cite Bella Niger. Yeah, probably I will only cite them. Yeah.
What about like outside of work, you as a person?
As a person, I'm a very boring person. I'm always indoors. If it was for work, there was no life. But I would say, that's a difficult one. It will probably be from family, because I'm a very family-oriented person, and I look to my father a lot. Unfortunately, he died right before anything really took off. And going to the university to study publishing, our plan was that when I came out, we were going to set up a publishing business. But unfortunately, just as I came out of school, that's when he passed away. So, but he was a good inspiration to me, because he was doing everything. He was doing multiple. I think they say it's the tribe we come from, where the Kwao people, apparently they are very entrepreneurial, and they do all of that. And I'm entrepreneurial within my own strength. I found something that I love doing, and I've made it grow, and I'm finding ways more to make it grow as a business. So I'll probably cite my father.
That's amazing. What would you say is your wildest dream that is not work related?
Wildest dream? It's to be so rich with private jets and all of that. So, I mean, if I want to go to the Grammys, it's a matter of just flying in there to go and watch. Yes, but I mean, I want to have a business, a media enterprise.
The 360 media.
Yeah, enterprise where we are doing a lot. Where there's a lot of structure and all of that. That would be a dream come true.
Amazing. Thank you so much. When just like throughout this interview, you've actually dished out some really cool advice, right? Like the one about just not just building an audience but building the brand. I think that resonates with me a lot. The one about building a structure for your business right from the beginning, like that makes a lot of sense. Like, 'cause some people just start out just creating content before you realize that, okay, this could actually make us money. It says like you have an opportunity to start thinking about the structures now, so put it in place. Do you have any final lessons or advice for upcoming, content creators, not just bloggers?
Sure. My advice is always to do what you're passionate about. Don't follow the trend. Even if you're following the trend, find yourself and connect with that trend so that you're unique, you're different, and the audience can feel that authenticity as well. And don't be afraid to try new things. Try again. If it doesn't work, try alternatives, but never give up. Learn from examples of people who have succeeded at what you want. I believe that's what builds you. I mean, if I gave up when AdSense, for instance, took my ability to make money on my website. They did.
Wait, tell us a story real quick.
The interesting thing is, so I was working with Ghana Web and I was getting salaried. And then when they also felt it was a conflict of interest because they were competing against him. The interesting thing is Ghana Web is owned by a Dutch.
Right.
And he had not been to Ghana ever since he started it. It's the biggest website in Ghana. And the year he comes to Ghana, he listens to radio, and every event, my website pops up, Ameyaw.com, media partner. So he's like worried, like, how come I'm paying this guy and he's the one that's getting the attention? It should be Ghana Web. So they wanted to buy me into Ghana Web, so it would be Ameyaw Debrah.Ghana Web and all of that. They gave me all those options. And I was like, you know what? I was building something new, people loved it. And it wasn't making me all the money yet, but
you saw potential.
Yes, it has potential. So I let go of Ghana Web, and that same, a few days later, I get an email from Google that I've infringed on the policies, whatever, and so they're taking AdSense, which was like the only way I was making money back then, and it was a big hit. But that was when the sense of making it a full-time business came in, and so now everybody had worked with for free in terms of promotion. I'm like,
no more,
no more free. At least pay a token. And I started with that mentality, and then gradually it built, and brands were coming in and all of that. So
did the AdSense come back?
Did
the AdSense?
Yes, I created a new one. And the funny thing is, I had good relationships with Google because then we had a Google office in Ghana. So I reported to them. They took it to Nigeria, they took it to Africa, then went to North America. And then North America now comes in and says this was specifically why we did that. I'm like, the funny thing was I had put a video in a story, and the video was from YouTube. I'm like, if the video is on YouTube, which is your own company, and is not supposed to be seen, why is it even there? But then I created a new one, and things have been cool since. And I've even looked at alternative ways of making money and not rely only on just AdSense.
So yeah, never give up. Even if they take your source of income at that time, that would just be an opportunity to look for alternatives and opportunities. Amazing. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
It's been a pleasure.
It's very interesting to just learn about your journey and also learn from your lessons. Thank you guys for watching this video to the end. Make sure you don't leave this channel without subscribing. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.